Alright, made $1,000 today. I'm gonna say 900. I made $900 today. Trading in Q, I'm gonna go over my buys, reasoning, and everything for the trade. First of all, to start everything off, I'm gonna go over what I saw on the higher time frame. So, higher time frame, I was assuming price wanted to run lower. We had a daily imbalance that I want to see us run through. Going on the daily, this is the imbalance I want to see us run straight through to rebalance it prior to FOMC. Today is an FOMC day. I want the size down. My goal is to only take like 1-to-1, 1-to-2 restore words, but the draw on liquidity, which I'll explain soon, was really good. But we have all these things I want to see get rebalanced. I did not want to see them remain open. And another thing that I saw was this IOFED up here. This SIBI right here, we barely tapped into it and we immediately sold off. So I'm thinking of this as like a 2022 model. And I want to see us just initially run lower off of it. So that's almost exactly what we got. Now, another thing that gave me confidence on the side was my SMTs. I was looking at more sequential SMTs that we were forming at the highs. So I'm going to go over there real quick. Yeah, right here, this one. Yeah, from these two orders right here, sequential SMT. From this high at the high, so 3:45 a.m. to 9:30. So directly off of that, I'm just going to mark it out one more time so I can see it. NQ failed, so I'm obviously bearish. Now, going into the actual trade itself and looking at price action, I was waiting for price to put in a low. I wasn't expecting it to engineer liquidity at the lows, which that was the final thing that made me fully confident in taking shorts here. But when we engineered liquidity at the lows, when we engineered liquidity at the lows and we started running up higher, I was looking at the macro open. So here, 950, this is the macro open. We ran above the macro open, so I'm looking at this in terms of more power of 3. We're doing damage inside of premium of the range, so we rebalanced another thing that we came into. The 931st percent gap during macro, and we also came into the midnight open. So all three of these levels were ran inside of macro, and we rejected off them perfectly. I'm going to highlight 931st percent gap a little bit better so you can see it. The bodies were respecting it. Remember, the bodies tell the story. We have perfect body respect here, so we know we're bearish off of the 931st percent gap. Now, with all this in mind, all we need to do is look for our entry PD array, because all the narrative is here. Sequential SMT at the highs, we have a bearish draw on liquidity, we have London lows intact, SMT at the highs, sequential SMTs externally, everything is looking really good for shorts. So, using what we know about macros, we have SMT during macro with this high here. So, I don't know, yeah, this is another sequential SMT, really internal sequential SMT, like micro cycle, which usually doesn't hold, but it was just an added confluence for me. Regardless, it was more about the SMT forming inside of macro, the 931st percent gap, the midnight open, all this stuff getting ran back into, and our draws here. London open, which is a time-based draw on liquidity. It is a session draw on liquidity, which is extremely strong. And we have engineered liquidity. We engineered liquidity and induced prior to the level, or prior to a draw on liquidity. And this is kind of like one of the best signatures that we can have for a trade, is when we're engineering liquidity prior to a session, I'd say a session low or a session high, which I really like using these as draws on liquidity. So when I saw that, I decided I'm not going to go for a 1-to-2 or 1-to-1. I'm just going to go for the full draw on liquidity that I'm confident in. But since I'm paying off for my car that got busted, I would typically try to hold to like the full rebalance of the daily inefficiency and go for a major winning day. But it's an FOMC day today, and I gotta be really conservative with my trades. Otherwise, I would be targeting an insane amount. So with all those in mind, the reason why I took shorts off of this order block right here is because SMT instead of macro, this makes this a macro high probability order block. And I did hesitate for a bit because I was watching the indices. What I was looking for right here when we were coming up into this right here, I was looking for us to start displacing. So right before we started moving here, I saw ES start displacing. We had this major wick lower. I'm like, all right, NQ is lagging behind. This is my opportunity. I went short. I had very little drawdown. I don't even think I had drawdown at all because of the time when I shorted, like immediately after the displacement. My stop was this high of this gap because I'm looking at this to act as a breakaway gap. Now, with the breakaway gap, we could typically try to short with the stop at the breakaway gap like this, but we're so close to the gap, and I can see it just be an added confluence for price to retrace into it, do damage, show that we're bearish off of a bearish PD array, and then go lower. Now, my whole thought process throughout this, I didn't really care about this SIBI because it was lodged within EQ. This one I was worried about because it was a discount PD array, but overall, a full draw on liquidity was ran cleanly. And we did reaccumulate for a while after, but another thing that made me confident was the 4-hour power 3. I was expecting us to run through the low regardless. So, looks like for the day we're fully delivering down to the draw on liquidity, which is this daily imbalance, what price will do, and this was really easy and clean to find, but I just wasn't able to take it, sadly. So, yeah, this would have been like a 2K day. Not trying to become like coulda, shoulda, woulda. I don't really care. I'm happy with the profits that I took. I'm not going to be this greedy going into tomorrow, but live trading every day, trying to, and going for payout. I'm targeting a payout, less than money. I'm going after a payout, and strict consistent trades. All right. Any questions right now in the Discord? Let's just ask anything. If there's no questions, then we're probably going to be done. So people, what's up, Sheik? Oh yeah, it has been a minute. I've been doing pretty good. Yesterday was like the worst day of my life. My bike broke, my car broke, so much bad news. But then I'm fixing it. My friend fixed my bike. Um, gonna fix my car with this payout. That's really it. Taste trade. Oh yeah, that is very good. That's literally the exact same trade I took. Nice job, Chief. We took the exact same trade with like the exact same logic. And I'm gonna be watching swings level. Alright, everyone else, take it easy. See ya.